Reverend Father Aikara, Chairman of the
Welcome to the inauguration of the 92nd Annual Conference of the Association of Heads of Anglo-Indian Schools in India. The chief guest and guest of honor are expected to arrive in a short while. Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. May I request Professor John Zachariah, Principal Bishop Cotton Boys School and convener of the 92nd Annual Conference, to welcome the gathering.
Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning and welcome. On Christmas Eve, 1968, an iconic photograph was taken by the astronauts of Apollo 8. It is a picture that moved millions of people across the globe. That was the first time human beings actually saw a picture of planet Earth. The renowned environmental activist Richard Benedict explained the significance of this photograph in these words, and I quote, "Perhaps the most poignant image of our time is that of Earth as seen by the space voyagers. A blue sphere shimmering with life and light, alone and unique in the cosmos. From this perspective, the maps of geopolitics vanish, and the underlying interconnectedness of all the components of this extraordinary living system, animal, plant, water, land, and atmosphere, becomes strikingly evident," unquote. Since that photograph, titled Earthrise, appeared more than 4 decades ago, there has been a growing awareness that we live in a world where national boundaries are becoming less and less rigid. The idea of a borderless world, which great visionaries like Rabindranath Tagore and Bertrand Russell dreamed of is now well within the realm of probability. This new and emerging ethos needs a new breed of leaders and citizens. We, as educators, must build into our educational vision clear and far-sighted objectives. We need to prepare young men and women who will transcend narrow national and sectarian boundaries and join hands in a spirit of global solidarity with people from all over the world. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are greatly blessed to have in our midst a global leader who will help us do just that. He has come here in a spirit of great generosity to share the wealth of his wisdom with us and to enrich us with his deep insights. Just a few months ago, this universally revered Nobel laureate addressed a large and receptive audience at Emory University in Atlanta, US of A. To a question about challenges in the 21st century, he replied that education is a key factor in the creation of a happier and a more peaceful world. He said, we need to design education that provides for both knowledge and a healthy mind. It is this great concern of his for education that is of particular relevance to all of us today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a magnificent honor for me, on behalf of the Association of Heads of Anglo-Indian Schools in India, to ask you all to please welcome the one and only His Holiness Dalai Lama. Our guest of honor and keynoter is a distinguished old boy of Bishop Cotton, respected worldwide for his signal contributions to the advancement of human well-being and for today helping India on the path of progress and sustainable development. He is today engaged in the great mission of empowering millions of less privileged citizens through an equitable distribution of resources. Ladies and gentlemen, could you please welcome Padma Bhushan Dr. Nandan Nilekani. We also have in our midst several distinguished educationists who have been passionately engaged in molding resourceful citizens through education. I warmly welcome the Reverend Father Jose Aikara, Chairman, Council for the Indian School Certificate Examinations, New Delhi. Mr. Jerry Aratun, Chief Executive and Secretary, Council for the Indian School Certificate Examinations, New Delhi. Mr. Carl Laurie, President, the Association of Heads of Anglo-Indian Schools in India. Mr. David Hilton, Honorary Secretary and Treasurer, Association of Heads of Anglo-Indian Schools in India. Mr. Lancelot Fuller, Deputy Secretary, Council for the Indian Schools Certificate Examinations, New Delhi. A special welcome to Mr. Neil O'Brien, former Chairman, Council for the Indian Schools Certificate Examinations, New Delhi. I also welcome officers of the Church of South India, Karnataka Central Diocese, Reverend Dr. Moses Jaikumar, Vice Chairman, Board of Management of Bishop Cotton Boys School, and other members of the Board of Management, life members of the Association of Heads of Anglo-Indian Schools in India, in particular, Dr. Abraham Ebenezer, who is a life member and a former principal of Bishop Cotton's, heads of other ICSE schools in Karnataka, very specially Old Cottonians. I know many of you have come to listen to His Holiness and, of course, to Mr. Nandan Nilekani, Old Cottonian. I welcome teachers and students from several schools, the media, well-wishers, the Tibetan administration, all well-wishers. I am positive that our participation today will not only enrich us at a personal level, but also equip us to reorient education towards greater global awareness. In the words of Zoe Weil, the co-founder and president of the Institute of Humane Education, all it takes for generosity to flow is awareness. By actively pursuing awareness and knowledge, we can make choices that cause less harm and greater good to others in the global community of our shared earth. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Light represents knowledge. The flame of knowledge can dispel the darkness of ignorance. Knowledge is a beacon which illumines the world. May I request His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, Mr. Nandan Nilekani, and other dignitaries to light the ceremonial lamp of knowledge.
Here we are, lifting our hands to you. Here we are, giving you thanks for all you do. And as we praise and worship your holy name, you are here, dwelling within our praise. For every answered prayer, for always being there, for love that hears us when we call, for arms that lift us when we fall. Oh, you have always been right beside us, leading us all along the way, and we made it through because of you. Here we are, lifting our hands to you. Here we are, giving you thanks for all you do. And as we praise,
we are indeed honored and privileged to have the Revered Dalai Lama in our midst this morning. May I request Professor John Zachariah, Mrs. Maureen Oja, and Ms. Margaret Eastwood to honor our chief guest, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. May I request Sister Maria Teresa, Father Clifford Sequeira, and Mrs. Indra Williams to felicitate the guest of honor, the dynamic Mr. Nandan Nilekani. Mr. Robert Kin and Sister Shanti will honor Father Jose Aikara, Chairman of the Council for the Indian School Certificates Examination. May I request Mr. Keith Boy and Mrs. Lydia Joshua to honor Mr. Jerry Aratun, Chief Executive and Secretary for the Council for the Indian School Certificate Examination, New Delhi. Mr. Dinakar Wilson and Sister Lavina will honor Mr. Carl Laurie, President of the Association of Heads of Anglo-Indian Schools in India. Dr. Jerry George Matthew and Sister Priscilla will felicitate Mr. David Hilton, Honorary Secretary of the Association of Heads of Anglo-Indian Schools in India. May I now invite Mr. David Hilton, Honorary Secretary, to give us a brief introduction to the Association of Heads of Anglo-Indian Schools in India.
Your Holiness, the Dalai Lama, guest of honor, Sri Nandan Nilekani, dignitaries, and members, I am honored to welcome you to the inauguration of the 92nd Annual Conference of the Association of Heads of Anglo-Indian Schools in India in the Garden City of Bangalore. Your Holiness, the Association of Heads has had a long and distinguished saga of service to the community, and it is my proud privilege to provide a short conspectus of the contribution made by our schools to the growth and development of education in India. The Association of Heads was established in 1925 with the purpose of providing a forum to the heads of Anglo-Indian schools around the country at that time to meet, to exchange of ideas on matters concerning education. The majority of these schools were affiliated to the Overseas School Certificate Examination conducted by the University of Cambridge, local syndicate, Cambridge, England. However, subsequently, with the establishment of the Council for the Indian School Certificate Examinations, New Delhi, these schools took the Council's examination. Anglo-Indian schools, in a large measure, owe a debt of gratitude to the Interstate Board for Anglo-Indian Education in India and the Council for maintaining the excellent standards they are known for today. Since its inception, the association has benefited from the exceptional contribution of its members, representing a wide spectrum of interests and concerns from around the country, which has in turn nurtured a common culture and ethos that has inspired and sustained Anglo-Indian schools. A recurrent theme at the annual conferences all these years has been the responsibility of these schools in nurturing the values of Indian citizenship among its students. Anglo-Indian schools around the country share a number of common ideals, while making special provisions for the children of the Anglo-Indian community. These schools are open to all, regardless of community or religion. Their services to the weaker sections of society in the rural and urban areas has created widespread social mobility and emancipation. In no small measure has this empowerment also reached the girl child educated in these institutions. A significant contribution of the Anglo-Indian schools has been their policy of absorbing students representing different communities, languages, and religions, thereby forging unity in diversity through the propagation of common Indian values and ideals. In this way, Anglo-Indian schools have promoted national integration. In Anglo-Indian schools, both English and the regional language has been encouraged, providing students with an essential bilingual capability. In fact, the exceptional standard of English evident among students of these schools has given them an advantage globally. The preeminence of English as a lingua franca of the world today has provided an opportunity for Indians from all walks of life to compete on the world stage in every field. Anglo-Indian schools can proudly claim their contribution to the propagation of English, through which India enjoys a competitive edge in the world today in the fields of technology, commerce, and science. It is worth noting that several Anglo-Indian schools, which were established more than 100 years ago, were the mainstay of Indian education at the time. Further, these schools have influenced contemporary Indian education as we know it today, in respect of the emphasis on character building, value education, and national integration. Steeped in tradition, Anglo-Indian schools have shown a remarkable capacity to adapt to rapidly changing times and fearlessly address the challenges in our society. Given their capacity for integration, we can say with pride that every Anglo-Indian school is a microcosm of Indian society. As the association enters its 89th year of service to education in the country, Anglo-Indian schools continue to remain in the vanguard of education. By addressing common concerns in education, our deliberations and decisions made at this conference will continue to energize and guide our schools in the challenging times ahead. Once again, on behalf of the Association of Heads of Anglo Schools in India, I cordially welcome Your Holiness, our guest of honor, and the assembled delegates to the 92nd Annual Conference in Bangalore. Your Holiness, we seek your blessings in continuing our noble work of guiding and shaping the future of our great nation. Thank you.
May I invite Ms. Margaret Eastwood, Principal Eastwood High School and Secretary of the AHAIS Karnataka, to introduce Dr. Nandan Nilekani.
Your Holiness, members of the Executive Committee of the Association of Heads of Anglo-Indian Schools in India, members of the Council for the Indian School Certificate Examinations, students, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I have been presented with the redundant task of introducing a personality who needs no introduction at all. Mr. Nandan Nilekani is an institution in himself. As chairman of the Unique Identification Authority of India, he has the onerous responsibility of giving every Indian an identity. It is indeed a warm thought that Mr. Nilekani has a closer connection to this place than most of us gathered here. He did his schooling at Bishop Cotton Boys' School, Bangalore. Mr. Nilekani came from humble beginnings, born in the town of Sirsi in North Karnataka. He graduated as an electrical engineer from IIT Mumbai in 1978, after which he embarked on a highly successful professional journey that began at Patni Computers. 1981 saw him as a young entrepreneur co-founding Infosys with Mr. Narayan Murthy, where he served as CEO for 5 years between 2002 and 2007, after which he became co-chairman of the board of directors. In 2009, Mr. Nilekani took his next big step towards a career in public life, where he was appointed chairman of UIDAI in the rank and status of a cabinet minister to head what is one of the biggest social projects on the planet. The UIDAI program, as you all know, aims to deliver other numbers to over 60 crore residents by 2014. More importantly, it aims to encourage innovation and provide a platform for public and private agencies to develop a plethora of other linked applications. In addition, Mr. Nilekani is a member of the Board of Governors of the Indian Council for Research on International Economic Relations and the president of the NCAER, the premier independent applied economic research institute in India. Mr. Nilekani also sits on various advisory boards, including the World Economic Forum Foundation and the Bombay Heritage Fund. As a result of his hard work and dedication to the various organizations he is involved with, Mr. Nilekani was awarded an honorary Doctor of Law degree by the Rotman School of Management at the University of Toronto in May 2011. In 2006, Mr. Nilekani was proclaimed the youngest entrepreneur to join global leaders on the World Economic Forum. Also the same year, he won the Padma Bhushan and was named Businessman of the Year by Forbes Asia. Mr. Nilekani was conferred with the Joseph Scumter Prize for Innovative Services in the field of economics, science, and politics in 2005. In 2004, Mr. Nilekani was recognized as a Corporate Citizen of the Year at the Asia Business Leaders Award organized by CNBC. I could go on with this introduction for the next half hour, but paucity of time and the fact that Mr. Nilekani is such a well-known figure in the world of business does not necessitate my continuing. I will now leave you to listen to our keynote speaker, Mr. Nilekani.
Ladies and gentlemen, my young friends, and all delegates to this 92nd conference of the Association of Anglo-Indian Principals, it's an enormous privilege for me to be here today and sharing the stage with His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. It's also a great honor for me to address this audience. I've often spoken of the importance my school and college education has had to my life. I grew up in extremely modest circumstances. I was actually born in Bangalore. The Wikipedia guys just don't change the entry. I was born right here in Bangalore in Vani Vilas Hospital. I grew up on Magdi Road, where my father was a mill manager. and my mother had to be extremely careful about her finances to make ends meet from month to month. We thought twice before we spent money on anything. Even today, my mother considers owning more than 10 saris in extravagance. But my parents prized education and they worked hard to send me to the best school they could afford, which was the Bishop Cotton Boys School. I was very fortunate to be here. I was not able to graduate from here because my parents had to leave Bangalore and I went to study in a small town called Dharwad. But I had some wonderful years at this school, including the centenary year of 1965, when President Radhakrishnan had come here, and that was a very memorable occasion for me. After finishing my school and college, at that time, all young people of my generation wanted to go to IIT, so I worked really hard from Dharwad and joined IIT Bombay. And then, of course, you heard about the rest of it. Now, I feel that while mine is a success story, there should be many more success stories like mine. We need hundreds and thousands of people to succeed, and because we need many more such stories from Bangalore, from India, for India to prosper and grow. But then how do we create such success stories? Good education, of course, is the indispensable first step. You are the principals of some of the best schools in the country and in Bengaluru. Your role has evolved over the decades from someone who is not just an administrator, but a transformative leader who can genuinely impact the direction of our schools. You mentor teachers, you encourage experiments that reward us with better students. I think the fact that principals like you are more willing to experiment is especially important because the economy today is very different from the one that I graduated from in the 1970s. Technology is evolving much more rapidly. Many of you have the phones and the computers that prove that. In industry, the life of a company is becoming far shorter, and every employee, regardless of their position, is having to innovate to stay ahead. The era of the lifetime job, the lifetime career is coming to an end. Earlier, we could be passengers on a single train for our entire life journey. Now, we have to get off after short trips and often change stations to continue and stay on track. We need to prepare our children for this. One of the great lessons we can impart to them today is learning to learn and relearn at every age to be able to constantly adapt their skills and knowledge to the needs of our times. This is a generation that is dreaming big, that wants to build great things. We need to give them the tools to both dream big and do big. Let us together help achieve this. Thank you very much.
Allow me to quote Thomas Friedman, who said, "Seattle has Bill, Bangalore has Nandan. What makes Nandan unique? For me, it comes down to one phrase, great explanation." Ladies and gentlemen, once again, for Mr. Nandan Nilekani, thank you for that gentle reminder that learning is not stagnant, but we continue to learn through our lives. Mrs. Maureen Oja, Principal Tunbridge School, and President of the AHAIS Karnataka, will introduce the chief guest, His Holiness, the Dalai Lama.
On behalf of the members of this Association of Heads of Anglo-Indian Schools in India, it is my privilege to welcome our chief guest, His Holiness, Tenzin Gyatso, the 14th Dalai Lama. Your Holiness, we are deeply honored that you have so kindly accepted our invitation to grace this function, which we humbly accept as our blessing. For our heads of schools who have come from different parts of the country, and for all of us from Karnataka and our young students present today, this is a truly memorable occasion for which we thank you. His Holiness is a man of peace, and in global recognition of his consistent advocacy of nonviolence, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1989. He has traveled to more than 67 countries, spanning 6 continents, and received over 150 awards and honorary doctorates in recognition of his message of peace, nonviolence, interreligious understanding, universal responsibility, and compassion. His Holiness is the first Nobel laureate to be recognized for his dedication and contribution to interreligious harmony and human understanding. The Dalai Lamas are believed to be manifestations of the Bodhisattva of compassion and the patron saints of Tibet, enlightened beings who have postponed their own nirvana and chosen to take rebirth in order to serve humanity. Born in 1935 to a farming family in northeastern Tibet, the child, then named Lamo Dondo, was recognized at the age of 2 as the reincarnation of the 13th Dalai Lama, Thubten Gyatso. My religion is very simple. My religion is kindness. With these words, the Dalai Lama, who describes himself as a simple Buddhist monk, can be considered not only the spiritual leader of Tibet, but one of the greatest spiritual leaders of the century. He has transcended any narrow definitions of spiritual leadership. As we contemplate the theme of this conference, preparing globally responsible citizens, I would also like to quote, with due respect to His Holiness, his words. Today, more than ever before, life must be characterized by a sense of universal responsibility, not only nation to nation and human to human, but also human to other forms of life. The presence of this august and venerable messenger of peace, who for all his greatness is the very embodiment of simplicity and humility, is an inspiration to each of us in our quest for a better world. With these words, I once more welcome our chief guest and humbly request His Holiness to very kindly address the gathering.
Respected elder brothers and sisters, and brothers and sisters. I always, express the word brothers, sisters, rather than using different words, titles or these things. Whenever I meet people, talk, I always emphasize we are same human being. Because I feel it is extremely important. We must have this sort of view. 7 billion human beings, same human being. On that level, hardly is no sort of demarcation. We all same human being. So, and then when I talk, I often telling people, if I emphasize, I'm Tibetan, I'm Buddhist. And particularly if I stress, I'm His Holiness Dalai Lama. Actually, you see, that kind of particular emphasis is actually isolate. from you. Result, that creates in my mind some kind of lonely. And then, you see, too much importance, too much sort of stress, importance of individual, yourself. And then, you see, sometimes hypocrisy also, you see, then come. Little lie, telling lie here and there. If you too much sort of emphasis, I'm an important person. This is really self-deceiving, my way. After all, we are same human being. Now, so, brothers and sisters, I'm extremely happy, great honor, you see, have the opportunity to share some of my own experience and my view. And particularly in front of these great learned people in front of you. You have the real authority. And I think those sort of, among the audience also, you see, people who have full authority about education, modern education, these things. And I think no single sort of lesson about modern education. Nothing. So, in front of you, I really feel great honor. Now, you all, as a human being, want happy life, happy day, and even, you see, you want happy, pleasant dream, isn't it? And desire for happy life, a happy day, not only human being, but even different mammals, birds, all have same desire. So that's, I think, because of that, we have right to achieve happy life. And particularly we human being. Every human being have every right to fulfill that desire. So I always is telling, we really need sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. Look, not only past several centuries, but even today, there are a lot of problems which essentially our own creation. If each one really have this sort of genuine sort of feeling, oh, they also human being. They also have the right to achieve happy life. Then these problems, I think, will not create it. Now, for example, the violence. I think the century-old concept of the we and they, that's the basis of violence. And also exploitation, bully, cheating. So therefore, these are there because of that, too much sort of, because of the concept of we and they, then this immense corruption that also comes. If you respect others, if you really develop sense of concern of their well-being, then these will not happen. So, for example, violence. Just repeat word peace, peace, peace. Will not much help. And even pray to God. I do not believe with blessing of God, real peace will come? I don't think. Logically, who created violence? We, not God. So therefore, we must develop. We must, develop peace. Firstly, peace, insight. Genuine peace only through inner peace. Inner, full of hatred, full of anger, full of frustration. Then peace, impossible. Only through inner peace. Inner peace, I think most of our disturbances in our mind, too much emphasis, we and they, something different. Only concerned about me, about we. Then, once you mentally, you yourself create too much a gap or division, then fear come, distrust, suspicion. That brings fear. So fear brings anger. So real what's the disturbance in our mind? It's too much self-centered attitude. So therefore, this is not related with the religious practice. Simply, as a human being, as a social animal. And then particularly now, this moment, unlike ancient time, yes, each nations, each individual country, even community, I think in ancient time, South Indian, they themselves manage, not much bother about what happened in North India. I think it's ancient time like that. Now today, completely changed. East, their future depend on West. Western future depend on East. Similarly, South world depend on North. North world future depend on South. That's today's reality. Then particularly the question of environment, global warming. The global issue, if something happens, everybody suffer. So therefore, today's reality, firstly, we are social animal. Each individual's future entirely depends on the rest of the humanity, rest of the society. And then these global issue, unless we develop genuine sense of same community or sameness of humanity, I think these man-made problem will remain. So therefore, firstly, whenever I talk, I consider myself another human being. Some people say Dalai Lama is a reincarnation of our local Chara. Okay, let them say. But in reality, I'm just a human being. Like that. Then, another level, I am Buddhist. I study Buddhism. I practice Buddhism, particularly Buddhism, a Nalanda tradition. Nalanda Buddhist tradition, I think very much based on academic sort of knowledge, not just faith. So therefore, as a student of Nalanda tradition, you see, we study rigorously. Although I'm quite a lazy student, particularly at young age, I'm very, very lazy. Only out of little fear, of my tutor. When I study, the tutor kept one whip. so, so, so out of fear, I pay some attention, study. Otherwise, not much interest, only play like that. so in any way, I trained, I had to practice. So then, and then also after I came India as a refugee. Me personally, I'm longest guest of Indian government. So, because of India's freedom, I had a lot of opportunity meeting with spiritual brothers, sisters from different tradition. So then, as a result, through personal contact, and I really developed genuine respect, admiration, these different religious traditions, major world religious tradition. Some believe you say worship sun or moon. That's something different. But major world religious tradition with certain philosophical sort of concept, all carry same message of love, message of tolerance, forgiveness, self-discipline, and also message of contentment. All major traditions have same sort of practice. Of course, there are different philosophies, philosophical views. That not only between Buddhism and other traditions, but also within Buddhism. There are different philosophical views there. All these different philosophical views within Buddhism, all taught by Buddha. Sometimes I jokingly used to telling people, the Buddha taught, one teacher as Buddha, as a teacher, one teacher, same teacher, taught different philosophical views. To some people, he taught certain views. At some other occasion, he taught some different sort of philosophical views. This not out of confusion about Buddha's own mind. Certainly not. Nor he deliberately tried to create more confusion among his sort of student. No. Then these different philosophical view, deliberately taught by Buddha, shows, you see, there are different mental dispositions among his own disciple. So therefore, it is obviously over, say, last 3,000 years, different place, different environment, different culture, different way of life, different mental disposition, naturally there. So, these great masters need, because of the creed or because of the teach, different philosophical views. All these different philosophical views, same purpose to bring conviction about this value of love. And then just to mention value of love, importance of love is not sufficient. We, human beings, we also have, by naturally, you see, we have, even biologically, we have this sort of, we have sort of experience of anger, hatred, all these part of our mind. So, in order to promote the practice of love, we also need a certain sort of method to face anger, hatred, like that. So therefore, all these teaching, all this tradition, emphasis importance of practice of tolerance, practice of forgiveness. And often anger comes too much desire, too much attachment. So all these teaching also using emphasis importance of contentment. Then sometimes our emotion, you see, goes against our principle. So all these teaching teach us self-discipline. So therefore, all these major world traditions really the same message. And different philosophy is necessary because of different limited disposition. Therefore, not only in the past history, but even today, this is sometimes conflict in the name of religion. Yeah. So we must make effort. We have to make effort, you see, to eliminate this conflict in the name of religion. I think, of course, many cases, I think not the name of religion simply manipulate. Not main reason. Main reason, political power, the economic interest. But some cases, I think, some, the fundamentalists or fanatics, fundamentalist, you see, sometimes you see create some problem. So there, you see, we need education. All major institutions, different philosophy, but all have same message, same potential to help humanity, to create better human being, peaceful life. So religious harmony, we can develop. Now India is, I think, a living example. I think last over 1,000 years, all major world traditions live in this country. In Bombay, they follow Zoroastrian. The Parsi community, very small, but no fear. They happily sort of settled there, so many centuries. And then Christianity come, Islam come, Judaism come, happily settled in this country. Then as far as Christian is concerned, I think on this planet, the Christian brothers, sisters, I think really made greatest contribution regarding education. There's no question. In every part of the world, I think other tradition, including Buddhism, I think not much active education field or health field, whereas Christian brothers, sisters, really extremely, you see, helpful. But sometimes our Christian brothers, sisters also usually carry some effort about conversion. That's sometimes difficult. One time I was in Kasadi, Chisananda. In America, one place, Kasa, no. Kasa no sa Kasa. Mormon, yes. Utah, Mormon, no. One is to say the leader of that organization, invited me, and then, very nice. So I expressed these harmony, these things. Then they also arranged public talk. And my public talk, I praised sort of their teachings or their practice, and sort of immense sort of service in the education field as well as the health. But meantime, I mentioned, you see, sometimes the conversion take place. Then, those places where no major world religious tradition there, then conversion is very good. Christianity with philosophical views is much stronger. So, teach them, convert in or I don't know. But then the place where the traditional sort of strong sort of spiritual traditions there, then conversion, sometimes causing conflict. So I mentioned that. So the audience, they really they applauded. They applauded like that. So I think they agreed that. So it's a few occasions in Mongolia, some Korean missionary workers there. Christian, yes, Korean Christian missionary sort of some groups, you see. They also came to see me. Then I told them, this is Buddhist country. So helping in education, health, wonderful. But conversion, not sort of the appropriate. Right? Whereas I myself, you see, I give a lot of explanation about Buddhism in different, in Europe and also America, North America, South America, like that. I always tell them, this is not Buddhist country. This is Judeo-Christian background sort of tradition. So it is much safer, much better to keep your own traditional culture, traditional spirituality. I always tell them. So change religion not easy. I want to share the audience one sort of example. In early 60s, then the number of Tibetan, they are sort of, because the way of earning is simply road work, very difficult. So especially those people who have children, they really suffer immense. So one family, their father passed away, the mother with few young children remained. Then, at that time, some international Christian organization, they really helped immensely. Also, you see, this family, you see, received help. And then the one Christian organization also, you see, the take care, education about her children. So I think 62, maybe 62, 63, you see, she came to see me and she told me all all her sort of stories, difficult sort of, sad sort of stories. And then she told me finally, now for this life, now she become Christian. But next life, she will be Buddhist. So that's the clear sign of confusion. So it is logically, you see, better to keep one's own tradition. So I never try to sort of promote Buddhism in non-Buddhist countries. And similarly, some Buddhist country, some missionaries, their sort of effort to conversion, that also I'm not happy. So I told face to face directly to those Korean. So therefore, in any way, you see, you Christian brothers, sisters, really made greatest sort of contribution on this planet about education, like that. So, and we can see some Christian nuns and monks in very rural area, in India. The facility, very, very poor. Perhaps I think because Ramakrishna organization, maybe this is such sort of worker. But otherwise, Buddhists, I do not see any some Christian nuns or monks. They're really serving in these such sort of rural area, poor villages, education and health. So all their enthusiasm come from their faith, Christian faith. So therefore, there is a sound basis to build genuine mutual respect, genuine admiration. That's the basis of genuine harmony. So, as a Buddhist monk, I fully committed to promotion of religious harmony. So you also, most of you Indian, you have, let's say, 1,000-year-old, you have tradition, religious harmony. This is your treasure. You must make effort to alive, to keep alive this value. Then here another thing I want to share. That is now out of 7 billion human beings, over 1 billion, they openly say non-believer. So about billion, quite substantial number. And then frankly speaking, among the believers also, you see some rubbish believer also there. They believe God or Brahma or Vishnu or say Saraswati, Ganesh, but their real life not caring according to their belief. Sometimes I teaching, you see, my Indian friend, you see, Indian people generally very much sort of religious-minded people. I think each family morning you offer some flower, some incense in the front of Ganesh statue or Shivaji like that. Then looks, you pray to God, almost now my corrupted life be successful. Pray, bless us. How can? I have, you see, one sort of experience, quite nice experience, on Cuban refugee who settled in America. See, they told me, see, they praying to God, the Fidel Castro, please, because appeal to God, Fidel Castro, bring to heaven sooner the better. It's quite nice, isn't it? Although he didn't like Fidel Castro, because they also suffer under his dictatorship. But no hatred, no hatred. So ask God, bring to heaven. Wonderful. So I think the proper way to pray to God with incense or flower, please bring these corrupted officials, corrupted people, bring to heaven sooner the better. So you have the over 3,000 years sort of tradition. So respect non-believer. You know, one school of thought, Charvaka. Charvaka, ancient non-believer, and because of the nihilist Charvaka. So rest of school of thought criticize that. argue that view, but at the same time refer people who hold that view, refer kasati means rishi. Rishi means sage. So respect non-believer. I think, and then a multi-religious country during, when India sort of, the constitution, you see, because of the work, then you see India's constitution based on secularism, because of the reality, multi-religious community. So, secular is very fit. According to Indian understanding, secular means respect all religion, including non-believer. Some, my friend, some Christians, some Muslim, they feel the word of secular is a little bit negative towards religion or distance from religion. No, according to Indian understanding. So that, I think, your 1,000-year-old, your tradition, the secular is, I think, very much relevant to today's world. Respect all religion and also respect non-believer. And through secular way, we can promote secular ethics on the level, to whole humanity. These moral principles, if you have religious belief, it is very good. All major religious tradition, you see, actually immense help to develop moral principle. But the non-believer, difficult. So therefore, you see, the only way is through the secular way to promote moral ethics. Here now, the use of common experience, we all come from our mother. We all have the experience, immense sort of affection from our parent, particularly from our mother. Then those people who received maximum sort of affection from our mother, I think in deep insight, I think much happier, less fear than those individuals who basically very successful life, but at age, very young age, lacking about mother's care, affection, or from parent, or from friend, or put just alone, live it, or even as an unwanted child. Later, no matter how successful, in deep insight, some sense of insecurity. That automatically brings fear, distrust. So such person, whole life, difficult to show genuine love towards other. So that's one reason. We all have the, generally speaking, we all have the potential to show affection to other, because we received affection from our mother. Through that way, we've grown up. Secondly, use common sense. Among your friend, some may be billionaire, very rich, but as a person, unhappy person. Lonely, feeling lonely, fear. Some my friend, very rich, but as a person, very unhappy. So we are not part of mission. We are a human being, something we are living. So human love, affection is so important. That. Then third point is scientific finding. Constant fear, anger, hatred, actually eating our immune system. Whereas more compassionate mind here automatically reduce fear and increase self-confidence, inner strength. So that immense help to sustain good health. So these are now scientific findings. Now last, I think little over 1 decade. Now scientific research now showing these things. So therefore, use these things, we can educate people in education field. Sometimes the subject, compassion, love, these we rely on preaching. Preaching. Very good if you really practice sincerely or follow sincerely, then all major religious tradition, same potential to increase these our inner value. But then, non-believer, so we must find different way to approach. So that is the secular way to educate them. I think real transformation of humanity, better humanity, more sensible humanity, more compassionate humanity must produce through education, not through preaching. Over 2,000 years, these preachings, I think, really made tremendous contribution, but not sufficient. I think the secular way to approach, promote these values, then very fit in secular education field. That I want to share with you in modern education, existing modern education. It seems to me very much oriented about material value. So generation who come from that, their way of life becoming some kind of materialistic culture, materialistic way of life. Then these inner value, some way eventually neglected. So now only thing, you see, the way to fulfill that through education. So I think like this university, I think with the leaders and teachers and even senior student, you should discuss how to introduce or how to make more effort to promote inner value. While our brain, even week by week, develop through education. But brain become very smart, but here sometimes too much self-centered feeling. Then education also become disposal of too much self-centered mind. Then education also become destructive. So therefore, through young age, through kindergarten up to university, I think we should pay some attention about our inner values. That is not serving to God, but serving themselves in order to be happier person, healthy body. These inner values are very, very important. And sometimes I teasing those young girl students or girls. I usually teasing. I say sometimes the female spend a lot of money for cosmetic. Okay, but you see, real beauty or most important beauty is inner beauty, not external beauty. on the marriage on the basis of external beauty only, then I think within a few weeks, I think quarrel may start. If you want divorce the sooner, then you completely neglect about inner beauty, more anger, more fight, and then okay. But if you really want long-lasting marriage, you must pay more attention about the inner beauty. That's very, very important. Then I think India, although I think the corruption, sometimes I describe corruption is the cancer of the world, modern world. We have to sort of tackle this. There's no point to neglect about that. Or you should not take for granted, some corrupted people there, or some corruption there. It is something like way of life. It's totally wrong. Due to corruption, I noticed some area. The government, one occasion, I returned from Orissa to Delhi. The airport, I just waited there. One parliament member from that area, also you see, there. Then I mentioned, some rural area, some Orissa, some certain area, poor people, very, very poor. Government should pay more attention. Then that parliament member, told me, the central government as well as the state government level, there are some sort of project or some scheme to look after, these poor people. But then he mentioned the most part of the money goes into pocket, not reach on the spot. I think if this country, not China also now, the corruption, I think corruption really affect the whole sort of people, and particularly the rural area and poor people. So we have to sort of educate to bring moral principle. That brings self-discipline, not for sort of religious reason, but for their own fame, their own good name, their own physical health, everything. So that is, I think, very, very important. So young brothers, young Indian brothers, sisters, please think more seriously. You already have, I think, very good tradition of ahimsa. So corruption, also a form of violence. So if we develop firm belief about non-violence, then these automatically reduce. And then respect others, concern more others, then these automatically reduce. So that's, I think, very, very important. I want to share with you. So now some questions, isn't it? You arrange. So now some questions. Any questions you can ask me. You have complete freedom. And also, me also, you see, whether I answer or not, I also have the complete freedom.
Thank you, Your Holiness.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, please be seated. Over the last couple of weeks, in our schools in Bangalore, we had requested our students to come up with some pertinent questions to ask His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I think we have time just for one or two questions. So, Your Holiness, may I be permitted to ask you a question on behalf of this audience? You spoke about inner peace being important in the context of achieving peace in our environment. How can a person, from your practical experience, achieve inner peace?
I feel education, awareness. What really use about anger, about frustration. the anger never sort of help to reduce the problem. Only destroy your peace of mind. And not only destroy peace of mind, but also, you see, the greater potential of our brain, which can analyze reality objectively. So that part of brain function destroy. Too much anger. Anger is kind of emotion. Any emotion, and also too much sort of attachment. You see, these emotions, once you see fully sort of develop, then you can't see the reality objectively. For example, one my sort of friend, one American scientist, mainly, you see, he treated, I think, some patient who have the psychiatrist. Once he told me, people who develop anger, hatred, that the object he or she feels angry, the object appears very, very negative. But actually, 90% of that negativeness is mental projection, he mentioned. That's very true. So, at such sort of mental state, you can't see the reality. Without seeing, without fully sort of aware the reality, and all your method become unrealistic method. No matter what your motivation or purpose or good motivation, but any unrealistic method will not bring satisfactory result. Look, I often is telling the Iraq crisis, Afghanistan crisis. Mr. Bush, my dear friend, I really love him, really wonderful as a person. One occasion, you see, after Iraq crisis happened, another my sort of was the audience with him, and I told him directly, I love you, I respect you, but some of your policies concerned, I have some reservation. Then he smiled. So, like Iraq, I think his motivation is very good to bring freedom, democracy. Goal also very good, but then method, use force. So as a result, no matter what positive goal and a positive motivation, but because of unrealistic, wrong method, brings unexpected consequences. So there's a clear example. So therefore, the anger says, so I always look this line. Now, for example, 2008 crisis, 2008 year, you see, crisis. I think 10th March, 2008, March 10th, 10th of March. Usually we carry some, function. After the function, about Indian Standard Time, 1 o'clock, I received one sort of message from Tibet through one my sort of friend. Oh, now some people in some part of Lhasa, now they're moving demonstrations, for demonstrations. Immediately I felt, now they will suffer. So I developed the same experience, 1959, 10th March sort of feeling. Hopeless, helplessness, too much sort of anguish, anxiety. But then you see, during that period, I practice sort of special effort about, you see, develop genuine sense of concern on those Chinese hardliner officials. Visualize them. And we have some sort of practice. See, through visualize. Take their anger, suspicion, fear. Take myself and give patience, compassion, forgiveness. Visualize through Haswata. Through visualization, you see practice like that. So of course, that no help to solve the problem. But at least my own mind, my mental peace of mind is concerned, immense help. If I let anger, then no help to solving the problem, but only destroy my peace of mind. So these, you see, and then also is 8th century's one great Indian Buddhist master. You see, he expressed, when we face some tragedy, then analyze the nature of the tragedy. Then, if there is a way to overcome that tragedy, then no need worry, make effort. If there is no way, if there is a way to overcome that tragedy, then no need to worry, make effort with full sort of courage, full enthusiasm. If there is no way to overcome that tragedy, then no use too much worry. Very practical, isn't it? All these teachings come from India. Your ancestor. So we always see, I always mention Indians, traditionally our guru, we are Chela. So we are disciple of you.
You're a guru.
So like that. So therefore, use, you see, common sense. Use our intelligence. What's the benefit? Too much anger. That's the way. Oh, next question.
Thank you so much, Your Holiness. Just one more question. We are living in an age when everybody is encouraged to assert their rights, and some of these are fundamental, the right to liberty and freedom and prosperity and happiness. What does the role of rights, how does the role of rights come into play when we want to achieve oneness and prosperity in our society?
Constantly.
The role of individual rights.
So firstly, I think mentally think about humanity. And practical, we can't do 7 billion sort of human beings sort of well-being. But change on global level first start from individual. So ultimately, individual have the main responsibility to change. First, you yourself, you see, create more sort of self-disciplined moral principle and think well-being of other. Then that share with your family member. Then one family, then share your neighbor. 10 families, 100 families. Each family, their own sort of friends. Through that way, 100 families, 1,000 families. I think that's the way to change the certain way of thinking, way of life, whole society. Through that way, eventually, and with education, there is real hope. End of this century, I think better world we can develop. So who start that? Not government, not United Nations, but individuals. So therefore, you should think these things. Then, when you think more about others, you automatically get more inner strength. That automatically brings inner peace. With the inner peace, some problems happen. Like basic sort of immune system is good, then some virus may not disturb your health. Similarly, basic your mental attitude, more compassionate, more sense of concern of others' well-being, there some disturbance here and there may not disturb you much. If you too much thinking oneself, too much selfish, there fear come together, distrust come together. So yourself very weak, and that's according that then that kind of sort of circumstances, then some disturbance here and there really disturb your immensity. So it is impossible to remove all the negative things or obstacles on this planet. Only thing, if you develop certain inner strength, right kind of attitude, and sort of more holistic view, then external disturbances will not destroy your peace of mind. That you can do. I think I can share some of my own experience. Now I'm, because of the 78-year-old, at age 16, I lost my freedom. Age 24, I lost my own country. Now nearly 55 years. So a lot of sort of sad news from Tibet. Occasionally some good news, otherwise always very heartbreaking news rare. And meantime, the Tibetan, they said, trust me. So I have some kind of very, very heavy sort of sense of responsibility and helpless. And then look, world. Now these days Somalia and Syria. And then India also, about a few years ago in Delhi, one day I passing through, street children, homeless person, some old people, some young. Particularly one day I come across quite young, sort of was the female. You see the kasa, holding kasa. That stick cannot move properly. And I notice, I think very much because the sinking. Looks full of sad. And sort of expression of helplessness. Many people going here and there, nobody pay attention to that. Very sad. Very sad. But then help come from awareness, more realistic thinking, more holistic thinking. Then can maintain peace of mind. It's a mind too much overwhelmed, sadness, then difficult. So sadness, out of sort of concern of others' well-being, is good, but should not be overwhelming. So that sort of help come from awareness. Another word we can say, holistic view. Things are relative, except God. God is absolute truth. Otherwise, you see, everything are relative. So, there's a comparison. Compare this, not bad. Compare this, not good. Like that. And then holistic. Everything interdependency. So no single event, absolutely, due to many other factors. So our enemy, say, not come independently, but due to many other factors, including your own attitude. So from that viewpoint, who creates your enemy? Much yourself. So therefore, once we see the holistic view, then these emotions reduce, destructive emotion. Because naturally, this destructive emotion is very much biased. Biased emotion need independent target. Once we saw, things are very much sort of interconnected, interrelated, then the independent target then become a little bit soft like that. So then intensity of negative emotion reduce. So awareness is very, very important. That I myself, practice these things. So it means a lot of problems, a lot of sort of sadness there, but will not destroy my peace of mind. I can maintain peace of mind. So as a result, my physical condition also quite good. Recently I met, one meeting, Nobel Peace Nobel Laureate sort of summit meeting. And then we just casual at lunchtime, casual talk. Then we mentioned, about age, and I mentioned my age. Now, who was 78. And then my friend doesn't believe that. Oh, no, impossible. Then I told him, yes, the birth year, 1935. And he still said, no, that must be wrong. So he believes, judging my face, he believed much younger than 78. So all this, and then medical checkup from time to time. They say, one time, in Delhi, it's a medical checkup, or some sort of, treatment. And then, oh, yes, I want to say one important organ, because I mean, gallbladder. Now my gallbladder, gone. So my body, not a full human body, but something missing. So at that time, the physician, described me, young patients, young patient. Then I told him, no, I am not young. Then at that time, I think my age, 75 was, 76 or 75, I think. I told him, I'm not young. Then he mentioned, he responded, yes, he know my age, but your body, physical condition looks 60, like that. So therefore, I think those people who take care your health, I think please, besides taking medicine or vitamin, pay some attention about your mental sort of state. Less anger, less hatred, less sort of jealousy. Then your mind can be more peaceful. As a result, then your physical becoming more healthier.
Thank you very much, Your Holiness.
That I think you can, you will have like the other sort of voice, such a strong voice, wonderful voice. I would like to have that kind of voice, not that mustache. Sorry. Yes.
Thank you so much, Your Holiness. For lack of time, we would not be able to continue, but we are so grateful for your words of wisdom this morning. Thank you.
May I request Mr. Carl Lowry, Principal, Christchurch, Mumbai, and President of the AHAIS, to deliver the vote of thanks.
really appreciate all your sort of contribution for future of India. I really very much appreciate. Please continue that great contribution. India, most populated democratic country, in spite of some drawbacks here and there. I think basically, because of democratic country, rule of law, India, I think since independence, very, very stable country. Compare Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, all these neighboring states, India is most stable. Wonderful nation. So now you, as an Indian, full of self-confidence, with that, honest, truthful, transparent, through that way, you can build India further, much more healthier way. So please keep in your mind. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, His Holiness. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks for His Holiness the Dalai Lama, as well as Mr. Nandan Nilankani. I must say that it's been an abundance of plenty today. And just to quote Douglas Adams, I may not have gone where I intended to go, but I think I have ended up where I needed to be. And I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of everyone over here. Just hearing the Holiness Dalai Lama and Mr. Nandan Nilankani today has really been an education in itself. We thank you most sincerely for sparing the time to be in our midst. We are truly inspired by your words and your very presence in our midst. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I request you to kindly stand for the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नाम जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय भारत भाग्य विधाता जय
I request you to remain standing as our dignitaries on the dais leave the auditorium.